Next video. So just getting right into it. So as I have talked about in my proposal, what I was building, and what I was getting paid for, was doing the extreme play maintenance and creating this MVP for the marketplace. The idea that you had, that you wanted to do something similar to like a Walmart, and a Walmart slash Amazon um, type of system, and this is pretty much where I'm at with everything, and I'm pretty much knocking out the final little bells and whistles that I want to add to it. But I'm going to get with Carlos, like I said in the other video, and get this thing up so you can start playing with it and just seeing what you can really do with it. Um, with that said, I want to kind of like say this, you know. So research, we talked about, I think in July, yeah, July, we talked about what you're doing with the SAP stuff, and so it kind of, I won't say threw me off, but it kind of like made me rethink some of the things I was doing with the MVP marketplace stuff and how to kind of integrate or be cohesive. And I just read what I typed in my head when I thought about it. So I read through good bit of the documentation and feature set for the SAP stuff you're shifting towards. When I got deeper into it, I shifted the MVP focus a bit so it was not so similar in concept as the SAP product, but something that can coexist and fill in the gaps the SAP product doesn't cover. So with that said, I I started thinking, okay, what exactly is the mindset based on what you told me? You're really going to be using the SAP by design stuff with the cloud infrastructure and with all the existing inventory that you have and the different places that you're instituted in. Chile, Peru, um, Colombia, uh, other places that you might expand into. So I was like, okay, um, it's not making sense to build, the SAP product if it's already built. And that's what I was kind of doing already with the MVP. But once you showed me that, I was like, okay, well, this can make my life a little bit easier um, with, streamlining a lot of things. So instead, I started looking at, okay, again, it goes back to, the whole thing I was talking about with APIs and everything, and how an API allows you to not have people, have direct access to your database. So in a sense, you're still going into that same, what's the word I want to use, direction that you're going to be focusing, to streamline everything inventory wise, but that's going to be your internal stuff. That's going to be the things that you have control over, and your people are, inputting and things of that nature. So what happens now when you have a marketplace and you have these third party, stores that come in and want to add their inventory and things like that. So that I started asking myself some of the questions. You have to have those checks and balances, and how do you handle or want to handle new user seller management was one of the questions. I was asking myself, are you able to track inventory on other third party seller sites like the ones you list in Peru, currently? So the marketplace that you had, put some of your products on, the toys and things of that nature. Are you able to track all that stuff now, or will you be able to track that stuff once you have the SAP in place? So that's a question, really think we should answer, or it should have been answered already. And then, seller based limits. And what I mean by seller based limits, you create this marketplace that you want to create, brand, and you want to have, specific niche products. You want other people to come and purchase from. You want other stores to say, hey, I want to use your marketplace to, put my things on there. And you say, okay, well, here's the parameters. And we got to kind of think of, what's the limits? Do we want, competing stores on the site with us? Are we saying when we run out of inventory, we do a similar Amazon thing where, hey, we ran out of this inventory, but you can buy it from these other guys who are part of our store system? All those type of things we have to think about. So with that said, when you bring in third party stores, you don't want them having access to your SAP stuff. You don't want them having access to insert inventory to your SAP stuff, because that's something separate. That's still a separate entity. That's a separate mindset. But what you want to do is still have that portal, which I've been, using that word a lot. That portal which says, "Hey, third party guys, use this, and then if your product slash store, is approved, then we'll push your inventory into our SAP database. Once that's done, then you can have the SAP database push it out to all the other stores again. Maybe they have something where you don't have it, and it's still in the same genre of market that you want to do, but you're just going to distribute. Now you can push that towards extremeplay.pl or extremeplay.co, whatever you're thinking. So you still have to have that middleman when it comes to third parties. So that's where I kind of position the MVP a lot more. And the next question I had um, uh, was digital asset inventory. Does SAP handle digital assets, like the digital download games? And I know you wanted to have that symbiosis with, your physical products and the digital product side. And I think you can have that now with the marketplace. It's just, the SAP work in the same instance where it doesn't really require um, too much information because it's a different world, dealing with the game keys and things of that nature and who bought what game key and whatnot when it comes to digital assets. And that's still a separate mindset. But when SAP gets it, it's just going to be a, hey, this, product item is such and such thing, or, product SKU is such and such thing. And you won't know how much inventory you have. SAP won't know that because you won't know that because only, you know, a guy like, a third party like Zstorm will kind of know that. And they don't give us that information directly. How many keys we have, which is basically how much stock do we have. And we just, we go based on whatever email they send us saying, hey, the stock is, low or whatever. So digital asset inventory, I don't think SAP handles. And that's still another like element that you probably should look at and see where you can probably create something that kind of still goes with SAP, but still handles digital assets properly. So with all that talking said, let's get right into it. So for the API stuff, I used a product by Zen Framework called Appgility. Oh man, I was looking at some other things, early on, and I had talked to you about, said, hey, I was going to use this, but then I changed my mind after like playing around with some other ones, and then this is the one I kind of gravitated towards. So Appgility, um, I love it. That's all I can really say about it. So I use that. Um, then when SAP talks to you and it's like, hey, yeah, all you gotta do is push your thing to pretashop. I was like, okay. And you told me that. I was like, well, I haven't really messed with pretashop. So I went, installed pretashop, and I played around with it to see what it was all about. And like I said, it was like WordPress, WooCommerce without the rest of WordPress. It's just strictly focused on e-commerce. And I'm going to get into that to show you what it looks like and kind of tell you, the good things and the bad things about it. So first off, Photoshop is using PHP. So if you got a guy in house that can do PHP stuff other than me, can knock some different things out. So here's like the basic template with Photoshop, as far as, inventory goes, um, and layout. I like the layout a lot. I won't lie to you. It's clean. It's kind of reminding me a little bit of the Jet stuff I was kind of telling you about. And I think you can get a lot of knowledge with it, um, just from a visual standpoint and people understanding what to click on and do. So you come in, it's all clean. Uh, Add the items to cart. You know, they have different currencies already set up, um, that we can implement. And it's real simple. It's just focused strictly on e-commerce, and that's kind of what we want to do, especially with the marketplace, and kind of just maybe if you want to, switch up the WordPress and go straight to this e-commerce only, because we don't care about the rest of the stuff really. We don't care about adding pages. We don't care about the blogs. You can create a one an individual domain just strictly for the blogs that covers all the sites. So add the cart. Boom, boom, boom. It's clean. It's simple. It gets right to the point. So that's pretashop. Um, Here's the pretashop backend. So think of Shopify, but on a platform you can control. So that's what pretashop basically is. So you got your modules. Modules are basically plugins, design, shipping. They have a lot of different things, payment methods. Here's the thing with the shipping. The shipping is going to be, all the different, carriers in South America that we're going to be using. So that's what the shipping is. Then getting towards that, this is the Xtreme Play Marketplace, which is, uh, if if the right word I want to say is, it's still not having people come. It still doesn't have third parties on here, because again, that's what the API is for. So the API will push all the inventory from another location into here, so third party people never touch this stuff. It's only us. We only see this. Our internal people only see this stuff. Now this thing right here. Let me get to the start. Whoops. There we go. This thing right here is the portal. This is what we will see as admins. Parts of it switches up that customers will see, and this is for third party people. This is what third party people get. They don't get all the other things. They don't get the SAP. They don't get the pretashop stuff. They don't see that. All we care about them doing is, hey, you know, are you a store? If you're a store, give us your information, give us your inventory, and the prices, that you think your inventory is worth, and we'll probably price control some of these things and say, hey, this is whatever. But get in to give us the information, where they want their money to be sent to, things of that nature, um, and that's pretty much it. That's literally it. We can see the products, how many different orders happened for each third party. We can see the listings, and all this information is feeding back into the SAP through the API. So the API from the SAP is giving us stuff to go to these other sites, but then um, the portal is feeding stuff to SAP to say, hey, SAP, these are the things happening on these stores. And then at the same time, this same portal is then connecting with the Pretashop stuff or the WordPress stuff and saying, hey, give me all your data and feed it back to the portal. So that's what I was talking about, where, the portal is your central hub that pushes information everywhere and then receives certain information from everywhere. And that's pretty much it. We don't have to do too much more. We don't have to give any API keys out because people are going to come in, they're going to sign up through our portal, if they're a third party seller. And boom, all their information is here. We can review that information. They have a certain space or place. They can come see their information, and that's about it. It's perfect marriage. Like I said, I'm going to get Carlos and work with him and try to get this thing up and running by on the AWS server by tomorrow. That way, either tomorrow or next week, you can start playing with it and really get to see. And then I'm going to send you a proposal next week, after you get a chance to really, play with this, the marketplace stuff, and say, hey, here's what I'm thinking, long term, whatever you need me to do on the next step, for the SAP stuff, if you need me to go in and help, you know, connect things with the SAP and everything of that nature. So that's it. That's what I've been working on for the past 4 months. Uh, I love it. I love coding. So let me know if you have any questions, and we'll go from there. Thank you. Have a nice day.